The original purpose of the flight... Oh, watch the tail there, Tim. God damn it. Like I was saying, the original purpose of the flight was an FPR, a Formation Proficiency Review. If you're a holder of a Formation wing or lead card, you need to do this flight once a year to keep your card. It was December 7th, so I was really running out the clock on this one. So naturally, I was pretty bummed when it was a weather scrub. We were supposed to meet at Livermore Airport for the brief, but Livermore was IFR all day. I'd hooked up the cameras and everything anyway, so I decided to test the equipment by doing a short bay tour instead. You know, get back to my roots as a renter Cessna 172 pilot.
Open ground, experimental 710 Victor, 7. Port of Ports with uniform, ready to jack the vehicle.
Juliet, and we got an aircraft there. Can we clear that aircraft? There's a low wing, not sure what it is.
710 Victor Echo, ready to run up complete, ready to go 33.
Number 10 Victor Echo, we turn runway 33, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff 33, 710 Victor Echo.
3 Lima light traffic's moving now to runway 33.
So personally, I thought I gave this guy tons of room to get by, but whatever, so I hopped on the radio to let Tower know I was ready to scoot. She was happy with that.
RPM, it changes airspeed and rotate.
It gets up quick with one person and half tanks.
We're not going to see a whole lot today.
North and west of the Bay Bridge, your typical Bay Tour instructions. So there I was, enjoying the grandeur of downtown, about halfway through my orbit when my phone started blowing up. Apparently Livermore had a hole and they were unscrubbing the FPR. All hands report to stations. My more cautious mind would have just said, sorry, no can do, and kept things simple, but this really was our last chance for an FPR, and you need all 4 aircraft to get it done. So if any one of us backs out, then that person lets everyone down. Group before cell. So I texted that I was already airborne and that I'd head to the briefed airborne rendezvous point.
SGD 1505.
I'm getting that rendezvous point plugged into ForeFlight so I can see where it actually is.
NorCal 710 Victor Echo, we're going to orbit San Pablo Bay for a little bit.
I did turns over a socked-in San Pablo Bay for about 15 minutes when our flight lead Scrump texted that I should land at Livermore and grab gas. So I dialed Livermore into the GPS and headed that way. It was completely undercast here, but I guess there were holes over there.
1 pound, visibility 4, conditions 800 scattered, temperature 9.
ATIS is reporting scattered, and I could see ahead that it was indeed clearing up.
Livermore Tower, experimental 710 Victor Echo, Danville 2500 inbound with Echo.
Experimental 710 Victor Echo, Livermore Tower, make 1 left 36 for space for 2 feet up, expecting traffic 6 miles east. This is on the GPS.
Livermore was in the process of switching from the 2.5s to the 7s, so they were spinning all the inbounds. I also had our briefed intra-flight frequency up, assuming that maybe one of the other flight members had a handheld or something and was waiting for me.
Cressy's on 2315.
Alright, come to base of the tower. You're going to park on the number 4 position. I'll park you. How far out are you? Experimental 0 Victor Echo, thank you. Make straight in runway 7 left, away calm, runway 7 left, clear to land number 1.
Scrump and Discharge were already lined up on the ramp, ready to go. Discharge marshaled me into my spot. Scrump gave us a briefing and a walkthrough, and then it was time to fly the FPR. We started engines on props and then did a parade taxi and turnout. The FPR is a review of all the important fundamentals of formation flying. It's not meant to be airshow quality, it's just meant to make sure everyone still understands the procedures and contracts of being a formation pilot. Scrump, being the head of the Memorial Squadron, also threw in a few things that he considers important for Memorial Squadron pilots to practice. Whiskers, who's Dash 3, signals his move from staggered to single file taxi by rocking his elevator. In formation flying, there's very little radio use. There's a hand signal or an aircraft signal for basically everything. We lined up 2 ships staggered on the runway. For takeoff, as wingman, you want to line up forward of your normal position. So far forward, in fact, that you're almost lining up wingtips. This is important. If lead blows a tire during the initial takeoff roll, you want him to veer off behind you, not veer into you. Dash 3 gives the run-up signal and I give the head nod. We're ready to go. Dash 3 tilts his head, and the moment his chin touches his chest, we are brakes off and rolling. I fight to keep my forward position as we accelerate down the runway. I notice Dash 3 is really struggling to deal with the wake turbulence, so I give him a wide berth. Scrump's T-34 Mentor can really beat up the air. Not long after, it's I who gets the beating. Dash 3 and I had briefed an autocross, so I switch to the other side before he catches up to the rest of the flight. This puts us in fingertip formation. We head out to the practice area. Everything around Livermore is socked in, so we're going to do our maneuvers over the undercast. Lead starts by calling for an element cross under. As Dash 4, the trick to a perfect cross under is to move laterally just slightly faster than Dash 3, so that both of you cross behind lead at exactly the same time, forming a perfect line. And of course, to do it smoothly and with an even cadence and without baking the wings. I'm doing, well, I tried. We then get into some echelon turns. All turns when in echelon are stacked level. I get another chance to practice my Dash 4 cross-under skills here. As Dash 4, you're generally not getting any hand signals, so you're the least informed of the group. You just watch what everyone else is doing, and you deduce what you should be doing from that. You see Dash 3 go, you go. You say, oh, I guess we're doing a cross-under, and you know what to do. Next comes the lazy eights. Far from being a maneuver you learn in your commercial training and then forget about forever, lazy eights make up the backbone of formation flying practice. It's pitch changes and bank changes simultaneously, so it's a great way to hone your station keeping. Dash 2's job in formation flying is to fly the procedure. Know your spacing, know your reference points, get to the proper position, and hold it. The important thing to know about being Dash 3 or Dash 4, however, is not procedure. Your job as Dash 3 or 4 is to make the flight look good. If 2's in position, great, but if he's not, you should be out of position too, to match him. The success of the formation flight is measured by how good it looks from the ground. A good Dash 4 makes everything look like it happened on purpose, even if it was a mistake. Even if you know better. It's that team over self mentality again. Lead's giving me the signal to go into the slot, and Dash 3 is passing it along in case I didn't see it. Once I'm in the slot, we're in diamond formation, and it's time to do some more lazy eights. The trick to flying a good slot position? Be closer than you think you should. Your perspective is a little warped from this position, so if you want it to look even from the ground, you have to feel a little scrunched up in the slot. A wing rock from lead means it's time to reform in fingertip. And now Lead's porpoising his airplane, signaling the move to close trail. Scrump knows the sun is setting, so he's wasting no time moving through the positions. Once we're all lined up, you guessed it, more lazy eights. Close trail's a tough one to get perfect. You can't just match Lead's bank angle. You have to be the pendulum at the end of the string. If Lead banks, you have to use rudder and swing yourself to the outside of the turn in order to stay aligned with his belly. And of course, if you're Dash 4, you're at the end of the whip, so you're going to be using a lot of rudder. As Dash 4, it's also your job to evaluate the flight. You've got everyone in sight, Lead doesn't, so the other flight members are relying on you to let them know where they need to adjust their techniques. Sometimes that means live corrections over the radio, sometimes it means making mental notes and saving it for the debrief. As always, a wing rock means back into fingertip. Lead then calls for some quick 1-second breaks into extended trail. Extended trail is a fun one. Your goal is to maintain 500-foot spacing using only geometry, no throttle changes. It's a lesson in using lead and lag pursuit to close and extend distance between you and the guy in front of you. If you're too close, swing a wider turn than him. If you're too far, cut the corner and close it up. You can also see me struggling to open the air vents because it's been a bit since I've done this kind of maneuvering. Following the extended trail comes our first turning rejoin. The turning rejoin is often the toughest maneuver to master because it requires the most understanding of offset turn circles. Right now my turn circle is offset from leads. My goal here is to use power and bank to control the geometry of my circle so that it drives me right up lead's bearing line without me overtaking 2 or 3 during their rejoins. Because I'm dash 4, I also need to cross under to the other side after closing the distance. Unfortunately, as you can see, I crossed too early, which puts me outside of lead's turn circle. I'm turning a wider circle than lead now, which means I'm at a geometric disadvantage, and I have to slowly crawl my way forward into position. The trick to getting your cross correct, wait until the last minute, and I mean the last minute, like when you're about to be scared. It's also right about here that my wingtip camera gave out. It was a champ. It held out for an unexpectedly long flight, but it's cockpit only from here on out, sorry. In order for lead to get his FPR, he has to get some wing time, which means a change of lead. Here he's signaling for dash 3 to take the lead. Once dash 3 has the lead, we do some more lazy 8s. I'm dash 2 now, which means my focus is now on holding proper formation position, not making it look good. Dash 3 hands lead back to 1 and we're headed home. Scrump gets the ATIS and passes it along to us as we soar over Brushy Peak on our way back to Livermore. It's a 4-second break from echelon onto the downwind. Since everyone's second is different, it's important to start counting potatoes the moment you see lead lift his wing. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4 potato. Whatever timing you count, that's the timing you use. Again, it's not about getting 4 seconds exactly, it's about getting the same interval as everyone else before you. On the base to final turn, now I'm working on maintaining the same distance between aircraft as everyone else. It should be about 500 to 1,000 feet, but again, it's more important that it's consistent. We reformed on the taxiway, and that's FPR complete. Every one of us gets to be a formation pilot for another year. We had briefed that we'd go our separate ways from the taxiway, so I punched in Oakland and requested an individual taxi clearance from Livermore Tower, and then departed for Oakland. Thanks for joining me on this FPR flight. I hope you learned a little something about what it's like to be a formation pilot. If you're interested and you have an airplane, look up a formation flying group near you. A good place to start is the Oshkosh formation groups like Bonanzas to Oshkosh or Copa to AirVenture. Don't worry if you don't have a Bonanza or a Cirrus. As long as you have a compatible low wing, you'll be welcome. Likewise, the high wing folks have Cessnas to Osh, and the RV folks like me have West Coast Formation Clinic, among others. These groups hold regular intro to formation clinics for people who have never flown formation before. You'll be paired with a safety pilot and taught the basics. It's a great way to learn something entirely new that you can do with your airplane, something that's not bay tours, or maybe sometimes in addition to bay tours, like today. Thanks again, glad my camera equipment worked, and I'll see you in the next video.